Gross yield and net yield. That's one of the things we're going to be covering today in this quick video. My name's Dervish. I've been an active investor since 2007 and I'm the founder of the Black Belt Property Academy, where we take brand new white belt new investors to confident black belt investors. So let's get straight into this. Gross yield and net yield. Now, what you'll hear is, let's put it down there. You'll hear when you first start speaking to estate agents, which as a beginner, if you've got 0 properties, and there's nothing wrong with that, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're likely to get most of your deals from, estate agents, Rightmove, On the Market, Zoopla, and so on. You're not likely to have a direct-to-vendor marketing campaign going, anything like that. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. So yield here, you'll hear lots of agents talking about yield. Now, they're normally referring to gross yield, okay? So they're referring to gross yield there when they say that. Now, if you've read my book, or if you've read any of my blogs, or again watched any of the other YouTube videos, gross yield is good and bad. Gross yield is good in the fact that it allows you to compare one property to another, but there's so many other things underneath the surface that you need to be aware of, especially if you are doing the BRRR strategy, okay? An amazing strategy that allows you to recycle your money, momentum investing, and then go into the next deal and so on and build your portfolio. So how do you work out gross yield? So let's use it this way now. Gross yield is the total amount of rent divided by the purchase price. That's pretty much it, really. Okay, so let's say, for instance, the gross rent is $750 times 12, obviously 12 months in a year, divided by, we purchased it for 100,000. This will give us our gross yield. Okay, now you may already be able to see why it's not really a true metric. I don't like saying it's not really a true metric to look at. You might see now why it's only a basic level to look at. So 750 multiplied by 12 is 9,000. Divided by 100,000 is 9%. Okay, so that would mean then that the gross yield there is 9%. So let's just go over it again. Gross yield is the amount of rent times 12 divided by the purchase price. Now again, there's lots of factors that can influence this gross yield. This one here, straight away, if it's a HMO or a service to accommodation, SA, you should hopefully you're going to be getting a lot more than you would do on an AST, hopefully. All right, so that might be 1,000, might be 1,200, might be £1,500, might be £2,000 if you manage to really utilize every square foot of the property. So imagine if it was £1,500 twice, then that then suddenly becomes 18%. So again, you've got to look at it through an experienced investor's eyes, or like I used to tell my martial arts students, you always want to try and get to the level that you're looking at through things through a black belt size, not so much a white belt size, because a white belt size can see one or two things. The black belts can see many things, but again, understand that lots of it is just noise and there's only one, maybe two options to progress. Now, at the Black Belt Property Academy, okay, like I said, I'm the founder of the Black Belt Property Academy. We take white belt new investors through to black belt and confident investors, not just through information dump, okay? The Black Belt Property Academy, again, we help investors move through each of our belt levels to allow them to achieve the beginner level, intermediate level, advanced level, and then obviously the black belt mastery level, okay? I've taught well over 10,000 students in 20 years and graduated hundreds of them to black belt, okay? So I know how to break down concepts, obviously more detailed than this, to allow mentees, my students, to improve and obviously build the life they want. Now, let's get on to the main one we're looking at there, okay? So that was gross yield. Let's see how things change when we're looking at net yield. Now, you may say, well, why doesn't the agent, or the deal sourcer, why doesn't the agent give us the net yield? Because there are factors that they don't know about. For instance, now, that £100,000, he's purchasing that all cash. Or is there a mortgage on it? If there's a mortgage on it, or if you're borrowing money from somewhere, what's the interest rate payable? Is it a stepped interest rate, or is it flat all the way throughout? So again, they can't really give an informed decision as to net yield. Now, the difference with net yield, though, is it takes into consideration expenses. all set expenses really. So again, there's our 750 rent, but we're going to minus the 10% of the doing a lot of pausing here today. 10% of the management fee. Then we're going to minus £20 for, let's have a look there, for buildings insurance. I'll put the MF, I'll put the INS, and then we're going to also reduce it by the mortgage payment. Now, so let's say, for instance, the mortgage payment is 400 because you haven't really secured the best deal and you haven't really got the best mortgage product to help you achieve your goal. So now you can see how this 750 starts to dwindle down. So 750 take away 400 is 350. Take away, let's just for this now, imagine that 10% is £100. So 750 take away £100 is 650. Take away 400 is 250. Take away the 20 is about £200. Now, what I'll do though is I'll get the trusty old iPhone 1 out just to give you, obviously, the precise figures there. So let's have a look. 750 multiplied by 0.1, which is a 10%, is £75 multiplied by VAT. That's £90 they're going to be taking off there, okay? So they're going to take off their 90 there, okay? So let's go for it now then. So the rent that comes in is 750. Take away that 90, and again, that's the management fee. Take away the £20 insurance, you're going to be able to get that cheaper. Take away the £400 the mortgage, which I hope that we're going to either we pulled a lot of money out of that, which is why that mortgage is quite high, doing the BRRR, or we're going to learn how to improve that. So altogether now, that's just 240. So now, that's pretty much the net yield figure 240. We need to then times that by 12 and divide it by that 100,000 purchase price. So 240 times 12 is 2,880 divided by 100,000 is 2.8%. Wow. What we're going to do with that return? Okay, so 2.8%. Now, like I said, it's not a super highbrow video, this. Obviously, I've been all over the show going, writing across this, but yield, estate agents, they normally refer to gross yield, okay, where it can look very, very good. This property is on the market for 100,000, the rent's £10,000 a year, that means your gross yield's 10%, okay? Simple way to do it. But when you start to look at net yield, again, a more truer figure for you to understand, that drastically reduces because we've got this in here, this, and that's pretty much always your biggest expense, really, finance cost. We've got that, so already from 750 it drops down to 350 minus the insurance, minus the management fee, 240, which is a big difference from 750. Now, again, not to mean to go down a different rabbit hole, but what about if the boiler breaks? What about if you have a 1 or 2 months void period? What happens if there's some damp issues somewhere? Now, again, I'm not in any way saying that to scare you, not at all. I'm a firm believer in wealth is created by keeping hold of properties, okay? You're going to have these headaches, just like you'd have headaches in any other business, all right? But we like property and we continue to invest in our portfolio because we like the 85-90% passive income it provides, and the fact that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, the properties, again, research property cycle, I may have done a video on this channel about the property cycle, will have increased in value. Okay, of course, there's going to be a couple of dips across that 18, 20-year period, but we know that they will be worth a lot more. So 2.8%, I'll put that percent sign there. Why bother? That's what some people say. Well, why am I going to bother with 2.8%? 9%, okay, 2.8. That's why we need to learn more about investing in property, because you don't know what you don't know. Just like I do not know everything, definitely not. However, I know quite a bit about HMOs, buy-to-lets, finance, dealing with brokers, dealing with agents, negotiation, title splits. You know, I know creative finance as well, but we've got to understand basics at first, okay? We've got to understand the fundamentals, because if we don't have the fundamentals boxed off, we're building on, obviously, sand. We need to make sure we've got a strong, solid base of fundamentals. Again, just like your martial arts techniques, then we layer things on top of that, only after strong fundamentals. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Maybe watch this video again. Don't pick me up on some of the rough maths and my scruffy handwriting though. And if you're serious and committed and obviously want to take it to the next level, like I said, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know, then the Black Belt Property Accelerator or the Black Belt Property Academy is probably for you if you're one of those committed people that understand it's not get rich quick in 30, 60, 90 days. Okay, I'm not one of these that'll give you hype and that type of stuff. Go out and get 20 rent-to-rent deals and then you're on 10 grand a month. Our strategy is building wealth, okay, not trying to build another noisy job, okay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Like I said, subscribe to this channel, like the video, and maybe read some of the blogs on my website, dervishdervish.com. Check out the book as well. It should be out in February 2026. It should be available on my website. But if you're serious and committed and you want to take the next level, then get in touch, okay? All the best. Take care.